Hello, hello. Can everybody hear me okay?
Uh-huh.
Perfect. Good deal. Good deal. All right. So my name is Austin Picaric. I've been an agent here at Keller Williams now. This is going into my fourth year as an agent here at Keller Williams. And so I'm really excited to be here today to talk with you guys about open houses and how I use open houses as a lead generation source in my business. When I first got into the business, open houses were not something that I was very skilled at or very good at. So I believed open houses didn't work. I did open houses like every weekend and I saw no results from it. And it just really was something that I felt like did not work. Well, once I learned the right processes and the right systems for open houses, it actually started to really produce, leads and business for me. I started recording.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool.
And then I
Great.
clicked got it on here.
Perfect. Okay. Yeah. You don't need me. You're good.
That's thank you. But once I, actually started to learn the right systems and processes for like holding an open house and what systems you can do, what things you can do before, during, and after an open house, I actually started to see results from it. So it is really a good avenue for us to meet people and connect with people so that we can generate business. So let's go over here to the next slide. It is not wanting to switch. Why is it not switching? Give me just a second, guys.
Spoke too soon.
That technology was working great.
Yeah.
Now it won't switch. There we go. Okay, so what do successful agents do, to operate a successful business every day? Our job is to grow a business. So we're going to lead generate for buyers and sellers. And that's exactly what we can do through open houses. And the quality of business that you guys can pull from open houses is actually pretty substantial when we do it right. There are people when they come to these open houses who are actively looking. And a lot of people think open houses are just for finding buyers. Buyers are sometimes the best place to also find sellers because a lot of times people have to sell in order to buy. So it's kind of a twofold, system there that you can really generate some pretty great, business from doing that. Now, I'm sure some of you guys have held open houses so far, correct? I know this is kind of hard because a lot of you guys are virtually, so you guys don't have to answer. But open houses, like I said, the key to doing, open houses is staying consistent and doing it, every week. The goal, with holding open houses isn't to just sell that particular home, but it is to put yourself, in a position to where you could meet other people who are looking to buy or sell. A lot of times you're not going to sell the house that you are holding open. Very rarely will you be at that home and somebody comes in. Now, don't get me wrong, it has happened. There have been a couple agents in our office that have held an open house and wrote an offer there on the spot and picked up a client that day right then and there. The chances of that happening though are slim, but the opportunity is there. So for me, when I hold an open house, my goal first and foremost is to see how much contact data I can get from people. And so that's really kind of something I want to dig into today is what do we do with the data when we get it? What data do we need? And then building rapport with the people that come through the door as well. Now, also anybody online, if you guys have got questions, I can see the chat. So please feel free to pop in there if there's any questions that you guys have, and I'll be happy to answer those as I can get to it. Okay. So the benefits of holding an open house, this is a very inexpensive way to lead generate. As most of you guys are all in our Facebook group, all of you guys should be. Open houses don't cost you anything to do. Yes, you have to buy your open house signs, but even then, some of the larger teams can provide those if necessary. The biggest benefit is this is a free way for you guys to get out there, generate business, get your feet on the ground, and not be spending money on leads, which isn't the smartest thing to do when you're first starting out in this business. You have to do them consistently though for these to pay off. Open houses have to be done consistently, or it's not always worth it. When you do them consistently though, it can be a very high return on your investment. You can attract more prospects by investing several hours, into setting up a proper open house instead of just putting a sign in the yard and hoping people show up. So we'll get into some of those systems too. The high exposure that agents can get from doing an open house is really where the benefit lies. So if you guys pull an open house and it's in a neighborhood of, 50, 60, 100 homes, not only can you guys market to the people that are coming through the door of that open house, but you can also market to the neighborhood. So a lot of times what people forget is that you're not just wanting to connect with the people that come through that door. You want to connect with the neighbors too. Because the chances are the neighbors probably know somebody that wants to move into that neighborhood. Because most of the time, people who buy in certain neighborhoods have friends, family, or relative, relative family, same thing. But people that they know want to be in that area. So for an example, I held an open house about a month ago. And a couple came through. And, I asked them how they found the open house and what they, were looking for. Well, their son lived in the same neighborhood. So they were there for about 30 minutes. I built really solid rapport with them. By the end of the open house, it was about 4:10 at this point. The gentleman pulls me to the side and he says, you know what? We've had a really great conversation with you. We want to move to this neighborhood because our son lives here, but we've got to sell our house first. Could you come out and take a look at what we've got? I went out there and it's a $1.2 million home. So they're selling a $1.2 million house and they're going to buy like a $500,000 house. So guys, these open houses do work. You can definitely meet people. You can definitely build really good connections with people. So it's not just about the people that come through that door. It's about the neighborhood too, because that guy's son lives in that neighborhood. So not only have I connected with the dad, but now I've connected with the son. So finding ways to connect with people can really give you a bigger, higher return on your time. And so let's dig into the prospecting for this. So if you're doing an open house and say, Wild Horse, for example, there's about 100 homes out there. So Thursday, you should have your open house signs out, all of your directionals out, pointing to where the house is. On Friday, what is always very common, and it does create a lot of contacts for you, if you door knock that entire neighborhood. Hey, I'm just stopping by. I wanted to tell you we're having an open house from 2 to 4, but I'm gonna be there 30 minutes early. So if you or any of your other neighbors wanna pop in at 1:30 to see the house before a whole bunch of other people start to get here, I would love for you to come by. I'll be there 30 minutes early. Here's an information sheet on it. Just know I'll be there if you guys wanna stop by and if you guys wanna see anything. By giving them the opportunity to come in, 30 minutes earlier, that gives you the chance to develop a more meaningful relationship with them, and it makes them feel special. Well, oh my gosh, she's gonna be there 30 minutes early just so like we, the neighbors, can come in. Hello.
Hi. Sorry, I'm a little bit late. I had a
You're
meeting
good.
this morning and then it ran way too late.
You're good.
But I'm here.
But by going, there 30 minutes early, guys, that really makes people feel special, and door knock the day before, tell them you're gonna be there 30 minutes ahead of time. You're gonna get neighbors that come through because guys, all neighbors are nosy. All neighbors are nosy. They wanna know what their neighbor's house looks like. They wanna know how they have it decorated. They wanna know how their homes compare to each other. So let them come in, develop deep, meaningful connections with them. If you don't want to door knock and you don't want to go face to face with people, which I will tell you, face to face in an open house setting is the best. I do love calling, and that's what we're going to dig into a little bit on open houses. But if you don't want to go door to door, circle prospect the neighborhood. You've been signed out because you are currently signed on in another device. Can you guys still hear me?
Yep.
Okay, well, maybe we've not been signed out, so that's good. It says I was. So digging into circle prospecting, if you guys don't want to go door to door with, flyers telling people to come by, we can circle prospect the neighborhood. Circle prospecting is where you call the nearest 500 or 100 homes to the particular address that you're holding open. And my typical script for this is, hey, I just wanted to let you know, I've got an open house going on down the street at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Main. There might be a lot of traffic coming through the neighborhood that day. I just want to let you know that way you're not wondering like, well, what's going on, at my neighbor's house. Also, I'm going to be there 30 minutes early. So if you guys want to pop on by and see the house, in person before like the actual traffic starts to come in, you guys are more than welcome to come by, and I'd love to have you guys come. So it's a really simple script, and it's a really easy and non-intrusive way to make a contact with somebody. Then, even after the open house, say you do your open house on Sunday, on Monday, we can also either go back by and door knock all those people again or call and say, hey, I just want to let you know we had a really great open house this past weekend. As I'm sure you saw, we had a bunch of cars. If you guys didn't have a bunch of cars out there, just say you had a great open house. But, hey, we had a great open house. I want to appreciate you guys for allowing, all these people to come through the neighborhood and things like that. I think we're actually going to see a full price offer on this house, and it's looking to sell for like $500,000. I was looking at average price in this neighborhood 3-4 years ago was only like $350,000. That's $150,000 that this home's gone up in value. Do you know how much your home's gone up in value in the past couple of years? So it's another easy way to connect with them even after the open house. You've already talked to them once before. Maybe you've talked to them at the open, and then you're talking to them after the open. That's 3 different touches that we've now made with people, all just off of an open house.
Austin, quick question.
Go for it.
Are you having trouble having open houses because of the market, or are you requesting your clients to do this as part of what you do?
So it depends. I have had a harder time finding open houses, yes. It is tough because one, our inventory is at an all-time low in the past year, and it is hard to find opens. For me right now, I've secured a couple of new build open houses that I've just been camping at. They've not sold yet. They are a higher price point, but I've just been camping there. I've been there every weekend for the past month. And that has been what I've been doing. Now for my sellers that I've picked up, so far this year, depending on the property type, this is something that we do plan for. And something that I've been doing with my listings, if it's a home that is realistic for an open house. Some homes are not realistic for open houses. If it's 45 minutes outside of Springfield on a county road, probably not going to be the most ideal for an open house. But if it's a home in a neighborhood that's high traffic, that I can market and do the door knocking or do the circle prospecting, I prepare my people for going on the market. I have a system for it. We go on the market on Thursday. The open house gets inputted the same day we go live. We market the open house on Friday, and then we do it on Saturday and Sunday. And if we have offers, all offers are reviewed Sunday after the open house. So it is something that I do try to prepare my sellers for. That way they know what that process and that system looks like, because the more people that we can get through there, the more offers we're probably going to get more likely. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, I did. That feels like a good system.
It really does work because, right now it's so crucial for us as agents to maximize where we're getting our business, because it's tough right now. I mean, business is out there, but we have to maximize how we get it. So for me, it doesn't make a lot of sense to put a property up on Monday, have it sold by Wednesday, and not get the opportunity to do an open house on it. I've just put a house under contract, and that's great. And I'm sure my seller is happy that we had it sold in 2 days. But then it's costing me opportunity by doing that. Because if I'm not, the 3 L's in this business are leads, listings, and leverage. Well, the whole purpose of taking a listing is to get leverage. Well, if we sell it before we do an open house on it, guess what? We've just cut out part of our leverage.
Mm-hmm.
So we're shooting ourselves in the foot if we do that. If we prepare our sellers, now don't get me wrong, sometimes there are cases where they're like, look, we've got to have the house up on Monday. We're in a time crunch and we really need to get this sold. That's different. But if I set the expectation for them that we're going to go up on the market Thursday, market the open house on Friday, then that's not costing me my leverage. That is giving me the opportunity to maximize where I can get business from. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. I think also the extra time when you think of people, I guess, importing or moving from, California, Seattle, wherever, gives it a little more time for those people to have an opportunity to make offers.
Absolutely. I mean, 100% it does. I mean, I was just the past 2 weekends, I've been working with an out-of-state buyer, and we finally got him under contract. Was it Sunday? I think it was Sunday. I think I got him under, but I can't tell you how many homes that we missed out on. I mean, they were driving here 9 hours and they were willing. I mean, the second a house came up, if they liked it, they were willing to drive down here. But I can't tell you how many homes in the past week that we missed out on because they just didn't have the time. And, most people can get here most people can take off work on like a Friday. You know, so if a house comes up on Thursday and we're not reviewing offers until Sunday, well, that gives the people that really need to get here the opportunity to come in and see the house. So it makes it a little bit more fair too, you know, and that's something that I do strive to do, even on my own listings. I know this isn't related to open houses, but I try to give everybody a fair chance, you know, when it comes to submitting offers on my listings. I try to communicate as much as I can with people who say they're going to submit offers. And I also communicate a lot with people who have submitted offers too, because I think that's crucial. You know, there's been times I've submitted offers on houses. I haven't heard anything for 2 days, and then it's already pending and I was never told otherwise. And then that makes me look really bad to my clients. All righty. Any other questions I need to address? Let's see if you got anything in chat. Not seeing anything there. Okay.
How many houses did you say that you called surrounding your open house?
So the question was, how many homes do I call surrounding the open
Yeah,
house?
so whenever you just let people know about it.
Yeah, so it depends on the neighborhood size. The system that I use, we've got it's not necessarily a dialer, it's called Land Voice. And it allows me to plug in an address and pull the nearest 500 or 50 or 100 numbers to the house. Some neighborhoods are only going to have, you know, 60 homes. Out of those 60 homes, I may only get contact information for 40. I'll call all 40. And so I will call as many as I can, because it just gives me the opportunity to connect with more people. You know, now, right now with me camping out at one particular open house, I have not been calling or doing the door knocking, but what I've noticed has actually been kind of cool. Camping at the same open house can actually give you kind of the same effect.
Yeah.
The last couple of weeks, the people that I've met 2, 3, 4 weeks ago are starting to come back with like friends and family.
Okay.
And like, oh my gosh, you need to come in and see this house.
Yeah.
So now it's like 2 weeks ago, I was at this open house and the neighbors came through, 2 other sets of neighbors came through. While they were there, a nurse had come through and she recognized them. And like, it was just kind of like this big gathering of people.
Yeah.
And so now it's kind of like, I've kind of got a sense of this community over there. So I'm starting to develop deeper relationships with the neighbors and starting to farm that.
Okay.
Because now that they know who I am and they've seen me at this house for the past month, they feel comfortable coming in and talking to me.
Okay.
They feel comfortable having a relationship with me, and they feel comfortable bringing in their friends and family, you know, too.
Yeah.
So there are benefits to that as well.
Okay. Cool. I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So aside from calling, you know, and door knocking, there are other ways that we can market our open houses too. Social media is a massive outlet for marketing our open houses. I know there have been people who have had great success with Facebook ads. Now, these need time to also run, which the system that I have implemented gives us the time necessary to do that. And when we put a house up on Thursday, we can set our ads up for that home on Thursday, promote it heavily on Friday, and get a pretty good amount of traffic based off those open house advertisements on social media too. You can target certain zip codes, you know, doing that. You can't, there are some things that you can't target due to fair housing laws. But there is nothing wrong with targeting a certain zip code or a certain town. You know, you have to be very generic with how it is promoted. But that opportunity to promote that house online pop $25 in there over the course of 3 days, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, you will see people that are like, oh yeah, I saw the open house advertisement for this, on social media, and they'll come through. So that is another way that we can promote, our opens, is just through those command Facebook ads. I'm sure you guys have heard it before, but like $25 in the KW command advertising space is substantially more, and it goes a whole heck of a lot further than if you were to just pay the $25 on Facebook to itself. Facebook pushes out advertisements that have bigger spend accounts. Well, Keller Williams as a whole has one ad spend account. So when Facebook sees that there's, I don't know how much money's in there, but say that there's like $1 million in there versus another agent at, a different company here in town where they've only got $30 or $40 in their ad spend account, our Keller advertisements are going to get promoted more because Facebook promotes the advertisements that have more money in the ad spend account. So if we're not taking advantage of this, guys, you should be. I mean, there is massive opportunity within advertising on social media through Keller Command. There really, really is. Any questions about that?
You just set that up through command then?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep, you can set it up through command. It's really easy.
Is there a command class?
I think
I
that,
logged into it, but.
there is a command class.
No.
We have it every week, don't we?
Tech Tuesday.
Yeah.
Every Tuesday at
Oh, it's on that.
10 o'clock.
Perfect.
Yeah, no, it is very simple to set up.
Okay.
You can get in there and there's like different templates for open houses or for listings or for buyers. There's all different kinds of templates that you can set it up. And, of course, the more attractive you make the advertisement, the better it's going to do, the more clicks that you'll get, the more traffic that you'll have coming through too.
When you said there's certain things you can't do, is that like look up medium income of the neighborhood and like get into their finances where now you can target that house, that price point for those people?
Right. I'm pretty sure like we're not allowed to target anything based off demographic of race, income, anything like that. We are not allowed to target. The good thing is, like, even though you may be holding an open house at a $500,000 home, and if somebody sees your advertisement and they're looking to only buy like a $250,000 house, they may still come through that $500,000 house just to see what it's like. I mean, that's the other thing too, doing some of these higher end, properties, you're not always going to get people that can spend necessarily that much, but you get people that are coming in to look because they're curious. Well, if you spark a conversation with them and find out what their needs are, even if they say they're just looking, well, okay, well, where do you live now? And digging into, who they are and what they're doing and what their goals might be, it's still worth it. So we cannot, like I said, we cannot target, certain demographics with these advertisements simply because we don't want to violate fair housing law. And again, at the same time, the more people we can get through there though, the better. Even if it's somebody that comes through that cannot buy, in the next 2 years, I still need a paycheck in 2 years. So I want to have that connection with them. Does that kind of help answer that question? Good deal. Any questions online, guys? Okay. So let's move on to what the week should kind of look like. Actually, we already kind of did that. This kind of talks about, calling the neighbors. And guys, we cannot violate the do not call list. I know that we stress that a lot here at the office, but it's very important that we do stress it. It can get you in serious trouble if we violate that do not call list. And so just be very mindful of that. That way you're not putting yourself in a position where you could lose your license or put the office at stake of anything either. Okay.
Hey, Austin, real quick question.
Absolutely.
The land voice system it uses, I'm sorry, I was on a phone call there for a minute, so if I missed this, if you answered it already, I apologize. But
No, you're
the
good.
land voice system you used, does that automatically look at the do not call list when it gives you numbers?
It does.
Okay.
So any of the dialer or call type systems that are out there, it should automatically do that for you. So like with land voice, excuse me, it does put DNC in big red letters next to the phone number.
Okay.
So I know that that person is on the do not call list, and it does make it easier. That way I'm not having to go back and cross-reference, that on my own.
That's great. Do you mind sharing how much that service costs and your satisfaction with it?
Oh, I'm super happy with it. I mean, I would say the cost, it varies depending on when you get it. They have certain promotions. So I was really fortunate that I got in. One time they were doing a promotion that if I paid for the entire year up front, after some kind of training that Keller had, it was like $1,000 for the whole year. So, which really isn't that bad, because yes, it's a lot of money up front, especially for some people starting out, and I do get that and I respect it. But the monthly cost is $227.
Okay.
So over 4 months, I mean, you're paying, 4 months worth of upfront. I mean, it's a huge savings, and I think now if you come in, the promotion is around $1,600 for the whole year, but that is still,
Yeah, I just Googled it.
I mean, that's still $1,100 savings.
They got all kinds of packages.
Yeah, there's a bunch of different things that they've got out there. And just depending on, what time of the year it is, there's different promotions for it. But I mean, roughly, for somebody wanting to start out, I think there is a cheaper monthly option too. It doesn't come with like the neighborhood search or circle prospecting. There's different for sale by owner leads that come through there. And there's a lot of different things that you can pay for through that system.
Okay. Have you tried any other systems, or is that the only one you've worked with?
I have worked with, so there's RedX, which I didn't have any problems with RedX, honestly. I didn't think it was bad. I tried it for a couple months, found out about Land Voice. I felt Land Voice was just a little bit more cost effective for what it is. And then there's one other that I had used. I think it was Mojo. I think was the other one I used, and they were providing, I can't remember who were getting the data through on it, but Land Voice for me has just been the best one so far. It's really user friendly and it's simple to pop into and plug into. I've had really good luck with it.
Our team uses RedX.
Yeah.
I just don't know the difference, but it's easy enough.
At the end of the day, the data from most of these companies is the same. Truthfully, we can pull all of this data on our own. We're basically paying for them just to save us time by not having to go through the do not call list, reference things back and forth. And then they're just putting that data in our email every day. So really, we're just paying for the simplicity of it, truthfully. For those on here that are like, I can't do the 227 monthly investment or the annual investment. There's fastpeoplesearch.com, and you can utilize fastpeoplesearch.com to to plug in an address. The data may not always be correct, but guys, when I first got started, I didn't have the funds to pour into a land voice system or something like that. So Paulina and I, we would sit in my little shoebox apartment. That's what we called it. It was a little tiny apartment when I first got into real estate. And we would fast people search people, and we would just sit and call. And so there are ways that you can do it without putting in an investment. It just takes an investment of time, because you do have to reference those do not call lists and things like that.
Do you use it mostly for calling around neighborhoods when you're doing open houses, or do you, like look for specific neighborhoods that you want to market to and use it that way? And how many hours a week would you say you dedicate to being on the phone?
Land voice, I will say, I know this isn't on the topic of open houses, but I will dig into it. Land voice is a huge part of my business, because not only am I utilizing it for circle prospecting, open houses, and neighborhoods, I'm using it for expireds. I'm using it for sale by owners. I mean, I am using this system for 90% of my lead generation. And so for me, I would be lost if I didn't have this system in my business, because I'm able to farm neighborhoods with it. I'm able to circle prospect, open houses. Even when I get new listings, guys, I can take and plug in my new listings address and then call all of the neighbors around my new listing. So I'm spending, at least on the phone. In the beginning, I was probably spending closer to 20 hours a week just on the phone. Now I'm probably down to about 2 hours a day, 5 days a week. So about 10 hours a week.
You sitting there in your office and do that?
It depends. Sometimes I do it at home. I found that for me personally, like if I'm calling around open houses or if I'm calling around a new listing, sometimes I do better just sitting at home in a really comfortable chair, because it's a little bit more casual conversation. I can be kicked back, I can, relax, got the dog by my side, like fireplace on, and I can maybe a glass of wine, like I can just enjoy, my time and be able to sit and have conversations with people. So, I mean, this system, is a huge part of my business, and it is where I see huge results. I know a lot of people are afraid to just get on the phone, but guys, the phone is the easiest way for us to generate business. It really is. And we have to get over that anxiety surrounding that.
Question.
Go for it.
What does your conversation usually look like whenever you call someone for the first time? Not like catching up with someone you've already talked to, just like that first initial conversation, so that you don't A, get yelled at, or two, they hang up on you.
Well, the question is,
Which neither have happened, but I'm kind of scared of that happening, which is where my anxiety comes
and it
from.
does happen.
Okay.
When I circle prospect for these open houses, sometimes they're like, I don't care, click.
Yeah.
And that's just part of it.
Just
I
what's next.
don't want to work with them as a client anyways.
That's true.
So my first conversation with people does vary
Okay.
depending on what I'm calling for.
Okay.
So, I mean, I would be happy to dig into that with you, like one-on-one,
Okay.
because like I could really go off on like 7 or 8 different rabbit trails.
I'll probably take you up on that, because
Yeah,
I need to get over that anxiety for sure.
Funny. All right, let's move on here a little bit. All right, so we kind of talked about how open houses are inexpensive. It's a high return on your exposure for being there. Qualified leads. Typically, like I said, you can definitely meet not only buyers, but you can meet sellers at these open houses too, guys. I mean, there's a lot of opportunity to be had within open houses, and it's a perspective way, or productive way to meet buyers and sellers there. Okay, I kind of dug into some of this stuff already, so sorry for skipping ahead here. We talked about that. Talked about what our week should look like. Whoop. All right. So this is something that, all right, let's talk about when we're looking for an open house, certain things that are crucial for making sure that you have success. Because you can do all of the right things, guys. You can circle prospect, you can door knock, you can promote it online, you can do all sorts of things and it not work out. But that's because the location of the open house matters, the time that you're doing the open house, traffic patterns and local practices all make a difference. The location of the house is crucial. So when you guys are looking to pick up an open house, make sure that you're looking at the location of it. Is it in a high traffic area where you're going to have people that are driving by? Is it in an area where people are familiar with the neighborhood and it's in a desirable neighborhood? Because you can do an open house and do all of the right things, but the location of it may be too far out or off the beaten path and nobody's going to come. So that is really important that we make sure that we're putting ourselves in that pathway of success by making sure we're in the correct location for an open house. The time that we do open houses, oh no, get ice, yeah.
Thanks. Sorry, guys.
The time that we do open houses is also really important too. We need to take those things into consideration. I'm doing an open house this Sunday. I don't know how well it's going to go because this Sunday is the Super Bowl, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, it is.
So yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna have a lot of people come through, but I'm gonna do it 2 to 4 and Super Bowl starts at 5:30, I think.
Yeah, right.
So hopefully.
What about switching to 1 to 3?
I thought about that. Unfortunately, with my schedule, I can't do it any earlier that day. I've got another out-of-state buyer coming in on Sunday, so you could very well switch it to 1 to 3, give yourself the better opportunity. I can't, unfortunately, this weekend. But that if I didn't have other obligations, I would definitely be switching it to 1 to 3. So we have to take into consideration, like, what are the outside factors as well that could affect the traffic we get in our open house, because even localized events will sometimes pull away from the traffic that we get on our opens. If the weather is really great and it's been a while, that we've had nice weather, sometimes, I think, oh, this will be a great day. People will be out looking at houses and they want to come through. Well, sometimes they actually want to be out spending time with their family, like on walking trails or walking their dog. They don't want to look at houses. So there are a lot of things that we have to take into consideration with that. Digging into like the traffic patterns too, like I said, we need to make sure we're not off the beaten path when we're selecting which open houses that we're working with. It is best to find a main road that you're able to get drive-by traffic from. The more signs that you can get out that are directing people to the house, the better chance you have of getting people to come through. So if you can get a bunch of signs out on a main road pointing into your neighborhood or subdivision that the open house is being held at, chances are you'll get drive-through traffic. Local patterns also matter too. For a while, open houses were really only going on Sunday 2 to 4. Due to COVID, we've seen a shift in that. I mean, we've seen people doing open houses in the evening after work. We're seeing people do open houses from 12 to 2, 1 to 3, 2 to 4. We're seeing some do them, in the evening times on weekends too. I've seen people do open houses on lunch hours during the middle of the week. And I have done a couple of those, and it does generate some traffic sometimes. So it's all in how you promote it to people. There are a lot of people that, they are very busy, and especially with as quickly as homes are selling, If your sellers will not allow you to do put the home up on Thursday, market Friday, open house Saturday and Sunday, do a open house lunch during the middle of the week. So if you've got a property that goes up on Monday, start marketing that open house for Tuesday and do a 12 or like an 11 to 1 kind of lunch open house. Bring in some sandwiches and stuff, because people that take their lunch, during the middle of the day, if they see the house pop up, they may pop in real quick, grab a small sandwich and go back to work. So there are opportunities to do more than just the 2 to 4 standard open house. It's all in how you market it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that lunch thing seems a little more expensive though. I mean, it kind of takes away from
It
the,
is more expensive.
yeah.
It is more expensive, in that it is definitely something that does require more of an investment. And so I understand that it's not, because in the beginning, I wouldn't have been able to do that. And so it is something that does take, an investment. But a lot of times, if you partner with a title company or with a lender, you might be able to get those things paid for or substantially reduce your costs too. If you tell a title company or a lender, hey, I want to do this open house, I need some sandwiches for it, would you guys be willing to split that cost? A tray of sandwiches and some waters and a few bags of chips, under $50. If you get the title company and lender to both pitch in $25, you're not out anything. And that's also helping you develop relationships with your lenders and title companies too. All right, any other questions? Hello, how are you?
I was on your Zoom.
Oh, really?
I just got here to the office and I wanted to come down. So.
Good, I'm glad you did. All right, we'll move on here. All right, we're gonna dig in a little bit more. All righty. Okay, we talked about our social media ad campaigns. This is what we can do with command. So this is something that we kind of dug into a little bit earlier here. All right, at the open house, the number one and most important thing that we can do at an open house, guys, is build rapport with people. People do business with people they like, know, and trust. So if we can get them to like us, we can get them to trust us, and then we can get them to know us, we're gonna have a better chance of walking away with them as a good lead. Say hi to everybody that comes through the door. There are times when I've done open houses where I have got 20 or 30 people that have come through, and that is really hard. It is hard to develop a deep, meaningful connection with people when you have that many people coming through the door. I really do prefer the open houses where I have a steady flow of people over the 2 hours of about 10 to 12, people that come through. That gives me the opportunity to connect with all of them. It gives me the opportunity to ask the right questions, and it gives me the chance to build rapport with them. If I've got so many people coming through and they're bumping into each other, they're asking me different questions, and I'm getting pulled in 5, 6, 7 directions, I cannot develop a meaningful relationship with them. I just can't. So a lot of agents will be like, oh gosh, yeah, I had 50 people come through my open house. Okay, that's great. How many of them did you actually develop a relationship with? How many of them were you able to actually create a strong, meaningful conversation with them? I bet not very many. Whereas if I connect with 8 out of the 10 that come through, I'm going to have a pretty high chance of converting one of those 8 into a client later on down the road. Having guests sign in, this is, something that I personally do not do. This is something that I think it does work for people. I know Paulina has people sign in, Kim Mooneyham has people sign in. I like to ask for their information personally. What I do is, when I'm sitting there and I'm having a conversation with them, after I've asked, questions, kind of digging into like asking the probing questions, finding out what their motivation is, I say, hey, I really enjoyed this conversation with you. I know this house may not be the right one for you, but I would love to send you some others that I think might fit. Could I get your cell phone and email? I'm not gonna call you every day asking if you're ready to buy a house, but I will shoot you a text when I email you something. That way I can make sure you get it, because emails don't always send, right? So if you don't mind, I just want to get your cell phone number that I can text you when I send stuff. It's a very non-intrusive way. They know that I'm going to be emailing them things. They know I'm going to reach out, but they also don't feel threatened, because I told them, like, I'm not going to call you every day. And they also think it's a little funny too, because we're all salespeople. They know how we operate. I mean, people are not stupid. They know that when they come through there, the agent is trying to get business. They know that. So if we kind of make light of the situation and find ways to connect with them and make them laugh, we're more likely to get that information from them. So then I put all of their information in my phone. I get their phone number, I get their name, address, and email, if they're willing to share all of that with me. Sometimes they'll only share their email with me. And if that's it, if that's the case, that's fine. I'll plug that into our database, and then I'll follow up with them on Monday. And then providing value to these people while at the open house is crucial too. If they ask questions about the neighborhood, guys, we should be researching these neighborhoods and researching the data that for the past 6 months of the neighborhood. We should know the best restaurants closest to the neighborhood. There's a lot of things that we can provide value on. There's a lot of people that are from out of state that come to these open houses. And, a simple way for you to connect with people if they're from out of town is, hey, I know you're from out of town and it's, almost dinner time. There's a really good restaurant just over here down the street if you guys want to check it out. Simple ways to provide value to these people are going to make them remember you. Because then, say they go back home and they don't find a home here, but they come back down next time and like, remember that guy that gave us the really good restaurant suggestion? They're going to call you. It's those little things that if we can provide value, they're going to remember who we are, and that's really important to find ways to connect with them, or if they've got questions about, carpet cleaners, knowing who the best carpet cleaner is, things like that we can connect with them and give them value. It may not seem like you're doing much of anything, but to them, it may mean a lot. Any questions yet? Yes.
Back to the qualifying leads, I
Mhm.
guess what are the most effective questions that you ask whenever somebody comes in?
Good question. So there's a number of different questions that we can ask to qualify somebody coming through. First and foremost, the first thing I always typically ask after seeing how they're doing and things like that is, well, how did you guys find the open house? Because that's going to tell me a lot about them as a person. Is their agent sending them open houses? Is it a neighbor? Because let's say, I'm just a neighbor. I saw it was open. I just want to pop in. Okay, that sounds good. Or, hey, we saw the sign and we just thought we would drive in. Oh, okay, perfect. Are you just curious about the neighborhood? Yeah, we've thought about moving over here. Then, if they come through and they've seen the house online, if they tell me that they're actively looking, okay, so that means they probably got pretty high motivation if they're actively seeking homes online. If they tell me that they've come through because of their agent sending it to them, that lets me know to not move forward with it. Now, if they ask me questions, I'm going to answer the questions. But I also don't want to step on that other agent's toes. If another agent sent them to that open house, it's my job and it's my morals that tell me, I'll be here if you need anything. But you're working with another agent. If you've got any questions, just let me know. I'm not gonna not, take care of them, but I also want to respect that other agent too.
Thank you.
Of course.
Okay, you gave us one question, surely there's more.
I can.
But that question just leads into.
Exactly. So that really is like the leading question, because depending on how they answer is what I can start going with next. And it would be best to like role play something like this, because there's a number of different avenues that it could take. Because depending on how they answer, how did I find this, or how did you find the open house, is going to depend on how I move forward with that conversation. If they're finding, the open houses online and they're like, hey, yeah, we just found this online and we wanted to come through. Well, that's great. Is this like the side of town you're kind of curious to move into? Yeah, we've been looking over here for a couple months now. Okay, what's got you drawn to this side of town?
I'll just interject. You mentioned that your preference is not to make them try and sign in. So I started out, when I first started doing open houses like that, as soon as they walk in the door, I'm like, let me get your information. And then I accomplished absolutely nothing. Like I got some people's information, but there was no rapport. Nothing happened with those leads that I got. And then I decided I was going to change it up. And to heck if I get everyone's information, but if I get one or two good people's information, that's way more valuable than all these people that I didn't build rapport. And I've got 2 houses under contract right now, and both of them are from an open house, and both of them are just from building good rapport with the people.
Exactly. I mean, that's exactly it, because it's like I did the same thing in the beginning, because everybody always preaches sign in, sign in, sign in, sign in. For some people, it works. For me, I get a better rate of return by asking for the information after I've built rapport, because they feel comfortable giving it to me at that point. If for example, like I don't like to be sold to. So like if I go to an open house and the first thing somebody does to me is like, I need all your contact information. Dang, like slow down, I don't even know you. Like I want to be able to build rapport with somebody before I'm just like divulging all of this information to them, because if I don't want them calling me, I don't know who they are. And I look at it the same way as when people come into my open house. I want to get to know them, because at the same time too, I am picky about who I work with. Like, I don't want to work with everybody. Like, that's why I sell real estate, because I want to be able to work with people I enjoy working with. I want to work with people who I'm going to find fun and exciting. I don't want to work with people who are going to stress me out and call me at 10 o'clock at night. I've had it happen, and I don't want that. So it's like, I want to make sure before I even ask for their contact information that I want to work with them. And so it is so important if we can just build that rapport up front and really develop a good, meaningful relationship with them. Then like, I know I want to work with them. I know that I want to further the relationship. I'll ask for their information.
And I think at that point, when you've built rapport and you've had good conversation, they're more likely to give you their information and give you their accurate information. Because I've been to open houses before I was a realtor, and I would write down some fake name and some fake phone number because I didn't want the person calling me.
Yeah.
But if they built value and I felt like, okay, this person can actually help me find the house that I want, well, then now they want to give you their information rather than just making something up.
Exactly. And that's exactly it, man, because there have been times when I would do the sign-in sheets and like people would put down 555. 555. It's like, dang it, like if we can just get those more meaningful relationships, even if it's just with one person, it is more valuable to have that meaningful contact and relationship with one person than it is to get the contact of 8 people who do not care.
How about the surveys?
You know, I have done surveys on a couple of properties and personally, I think they're cold. Because if somebody comes in to an open house that I'm doing and I hand them a sheet and I'm like, here, fill this out. And then they hand it to me and then they leave. It doesn't give me the opportunity when they are heading out to say, hey, before you guys go, what feedback do you have for me to give the seller? Because then this is a chance for me to ask for more questions. Because if I'm just giving them a sheet and they fill out on a scale from 1 to 10 what they think, I'm not getting to connect with them. If I can, before they walk out that door, say, hey, before you go, what did you guys think of the house? What did you think of the quality of the build? What do you think of the neighborhood? What do you think of the price? Like, I know this may not be the house for you, but like, would you live in a home like this? Like, could you see yourself in something like this? What do you think of the way that the builder finished out, this? Or what do you think about the way the sellers have it decorated? Yeah, we've been on the market for like 2 weeks now and we've not sold. So do you think it's like a price issue? Or if I can ask them for feedback and connect with them a little bit more, that's developing and furthering the relationship that I have with that person. So instead of just handing them a survey and asking them to fill it out, I'm getting to talk to them more. I think surveys have a place, in open houses. They just don't have a place in my open houses because it doesn't flow into my system of how I work with people. When I want to build rapport with people, the more questions I can ask about, the house and what they think of it, that's giving me the opportunity to connect. If they're like, I really like this floor plan, but these fixtures suck. You know what? I thought the same thing. Like, this floor plan really is cool, but these, fixtures on a $500,000 house, he really could have done a better job on that. And I'm going to tell him that. Thank you for agreeing with me. And it's those kinds of things that gives us the opportunity to, become relatable and become personable with them. Or if they're like, this floor plan is just really kind of weird. Man, I thought the same thing. The way that bathtub sits next to the shower kind of in the corner is just weird. Like, how did people even get in and out of there? It's just finding, a way to develop and deepen that relationship just a little bit more. So I think surveys are great. I just don't think it allows people to build a deeper connection because it's very cold. Walmart sends me surveys to my email. I never fill them out. Like, I don't care. Like, if somebody handed me an open house survey, if I was a consumer, I probably would not fill it out. But if somebody were to ask me for my feedback, I'll give it to them.
There's probably going to be a survey at the end of this.
There might be, and if you guys give me all zeros, that's totally okay.
Hey, Austin, one
Yes.
other tip that I had that's worked well for me, and I'm curious how you do it, is the tip was if you've got a couple that you're visiting with, and there's other people that walk in, don't try and fracture your time between multiple people. I mean, if you've got a good connection, tell the other people, hey, I'll be with you as soon as you can, look around, and then stay connected to those people. Because to me, again, the goal was always, if I can have one good lead off of this open house, then I've accomplished exactly what I want. To heck with if there's 10 people that walk through, if I get one person that buys a house, that's perfect.
Absolutely, 100%. And I do agree with that because if I'm at an open house and I have got a really, really solid, this actually happened to me 3 weeks ago. If I've got a really solid connection with a couple that come through, I had been talking to this couple for 30 minutes. We really connected. They were close to my age. They're moving down here from Kansas City. We just really hit it off. Well, then I had like 5, 6 other people come through. I'm still talking to them. And I ended up picking them up as a buyer. I did not shift my time away from them. They're a $550,000 buyer now. So like, it is important for me to stay connected to who I'm connected with, because my goal isn't to go to an open house and pick up everybody. If I can spend 2 hours and develop one really meaningful connection with that one couple, that's what matters. Now, I don't want to be rude to the other people, and I will tell them like, hey, I'll be with you guys in just a second. That's typically a cue for the couple that I've developed a meaningful connection with. Well, like, hey, we'll let you go. We know that you're busy. Like, you've got our contact information. We've got yours. We'll touch base after the fact. It's all in how you set it up moving forward too, because I don't want to divide my time, but I also don't want to miss opportunity either. And so I do the same thing. Like, I will stay connected and talking to those people, but let the others know I'll be there in a moment, which typically sets cue for them to be like, oh, okay, no, we know you're busy. Like, we'll let you go. But I agree with that completely.
Austin, do you work open houses by yourself? I'm brand new, but I was a lender before, and there was sometimes that I would go, and it seemed like it made it easier to handle that situation with having more than one person there.
In the beginning, I had done a few open houses with like lenders and title companies. For how I operate and for how I work and for how I connect with people, I have found it best to go by myself personally. Other people do prefer having somebody else there. I work really good solo, and that may not be the case for everybody. This is definitely a me thing. Like, just being able to work by myself really allows me, for some reason, to just flourish. If I've got, other people kind of there with me, I almost feel like I have to put on like a facade or a front. And I don't know why that is, but for me, I've just always been able to develop better connections and better relationships with being there one-on-one. I do bring, lender information and title contact information with me sometimes to the open houses. And especially if I do one of the like lunch open houses, they do come with me then because they've obviously paid for the food. So I do want them to participate in that. But if this is an open house that I'm doing on like a Saturday or a Sunday, I almost always do it by myself.
Is there a preference of Saturday to Sunday? I know a lot of times I always feel like there's like Sunday afternoons is like the main spot, but you mentioned Saturday a couple times.
Yeah, so one thing that when I look at planning for my business and how to grow my business and in the direction I want to take my business, I look at every opportunity to connect with people. I've picked up business on Saturday open houses, and they are becoming more and more popular. Before COVID, they were really becoming more popular. But now, I look at the chance of being able to connect with people both Saturday and Sunday. One thing that I've noticed is if I do, the same open house Saturday and Sunday, sometimes people who come through on Saturday will come back through on Sunday with friends or family. So now I'm getting to connect with them twice. So I have found a lot of benefits of doing the same house 2 days in a row because I'm getting to connect with them not once, but twice. And sometimes I'm getting to connect with their friends and family that they bring with them. So I look at it just as an opportunity to meet more people and make more connections. I think a lot of people miss opportunity by not doing open houses on Saturday. Your traffic is typically less. But like I said earlier, I would rather have fewer people come through and develop a better, stronger relationship with them than a bunch of people come through and I'm not able to make any connections.
So would you say, do you ever, this is what I hear you saying is that if you're doing a Saturday, you're going to follow it with a Sunday. You don't do a Saturday only.
Correct, correct, correct. So that's part of what I look for when I am seeking a house to hold open. I want to be able to hold it open both Saturday and Sunday. If I can't do Saturday, I will just do Sunday. But I really, really, really prefer to be able to do it both days. Because again, I'm doing all of this marketing, circle prospecting and door knocking and calling. It is much more worth it if all of that investment and time that I've put into marketing the open house and calling people and door knocking, I get a higher return on my investment if I can do that for 2 days. All of the work that I do prior is great and it does work, but I get a higher return if I can put all of that energy and effort into 2 days. Some people work on Saturday, but they don't work on Sunday. Some people, may have Saturday off, but may have to work Sunday. You just never know what a person's schedule is. And it gives me the opportunity to make the work that I'm putting in worth it. Does that make sense?
It does. Have you ever analyzed like doing a Saturday plus Sunday with 4 hours as opposed to what you generate for the 2 hours? And how do you compare this to phone calls? I didn't know if you'd ever looked at it as far as efficiency or effectiveness.
I have because for me, I am extremely analytical of my time and I'm extremely analytical of where I spend it. One thing that I had to learn to do is I had to diversify my lead sources. So in the beginning, like I said, I always said, open houses don't work. It's not worth my time. I can make 4 times as many connections as I can, cold calling than I can doing an open house. So I had to shift my own mindset to that and recognize, okay, I need to shift what I'm, thinking here and realize that yes, cold calling is by far the highest return on my time that I can do. But I'm also not cold calling on Saturday and Sunday. I'm cold calling Monday through Friday during the middle of the week. So on Saturday and Sunday, when I'm really at home not doing anything, why am I not spending that time making connections with people? So when it really boils down to like the nitty gritty numbers, my return on investment is higher when I am cold calling people, 100% higher. But when I am out connecting with people face to face, the conversion rate is higher doing that. I may make more connections while on the phone, but the depth of the relationship that I am making with people at the open houses far surpasses the depth of the relationship I'm creating with people on the phone. So when we actually take the time and the energy that's put into it, it truthfully probably weighs out to be about the same. Because while the purpose of the cold calling is to get an appointment, yes, I may make connections with 5 people during that time and set 5 appointments. But at this point, there is no personal relationship there. It's now my job to go on that appointment to develop that relationship. Whereas if I meet somebody at an open house, I'm developing that relationship from the start because we're already face to face. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So the return on investment for open houses and cold calling versus other lead generation sources is probably at the end of the day, it always out the same. Were you saying something about doing an open house for 4 hours versus 2?
Oh, well, I was looking at, I guess, so, I mean, what you're saying is phone calls are most effective, but I was looking at, so if you're doing a Saturday, Sunday, then that's going to be 4 total hours as opposed
Yes.
to only 2 or 2.5, 5 to 2.5, but double the hours regardless.
Yeah, so I mean, I have found that by spending the extra 2 hours a weekend, it does give me a higher return. The connections that, like I said, sometimes people come through Saturday and Sunday. So by being there both days, being able to connect with them both days is totally worth the time in regards to getting connections and making it worth my time.
Yeah, 2 face-to-face connections in a weekend is big.
Exactly. So, open houses are hit or miss. They really are. Sometimes I'll have a great Saturday, and then Sunday will be horrible. Sometimes it's opposite. Sometimes I'll have a really bad Saturday and just a really great Sunday. You just never know what people are going to be out doing. And you also never know who's going to walk through that door. You just never know who's going to come through that door at any time. So just being able to be there the most amount of time is what's crucial to me. That's why these builders like Trendsetter, okay, if we look at what Trendsetter is doing, they have a model home where it just says open every day from this time to this time. And people just come through and they look at the house, and that's how they generate buyer leads. They're getting all of these people to just walk through. So it's just about being consistent with it too. We may not see a massive return doing an open house, 1 weekend out of the month. But if we did an open house 40 weeks out of the 52 weeks, I guarantee you're going to see some kind of result from that. So it boils down to being consistent, and the more time that you can, be somewhere, the better. I truly do believe that. Did that answer it right? I want to make sure.
Yeah, it did.
Okay, good deal. You had a question.
Yes, what do you do which I've only done 2 open houses. I should do a lot more, but nobody ever wants to talk. Everyone just wants to buzz through, and then whenever they're ready to go, they're like, okay, thank you. And then again, the house that I did it in, the floor plan was really cut off to where I couldn't really set up where I was in a line of view from the front door, if that makes sense. It didn't really provide that, I guess.
Yeah.
So a lot of people would just kind of zoom out, and it was a really big house. So a lot of people would kind of come in and out, and I would try to have that conversation, but I'm not one of those to force someone to talk to me. If you want to talk to me, then that's fine.
And I'm the same way.
But it's kind of hard.
If somebody doesn't want to talk to me,
Yeah.
I've had people walk out the basement doors and go around the house.
Okay.
So they can avoid talking to me. And I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
I didn't know where they went because I was upstairs and
Are they hiding in a closet or whatever?
they never came back upstairs.
Yeah.
And I was 10 minutes had gone by. It's I'm gonna go down there and check it. They left. They stuck out the back door. And so it's some people don't want to talk, and that is totally fine. If that's how they want to be, then so be it. That's great.
Yeah.
But at the when I can connect with people, just by if they're wanting to walk out the door, say, hey, before you guys go, what feedback do you have? It's really important for me to get that feedback so that I can give it to the seller.
Okay. And then you just kind of break into conversation from there. Okay.
Yep. And then it's finding little things as soon as they walk in the door, the first thing I do is look at somebody's clothes. It's not that I'm judging them. It is not. It is not that I'm do they have
I like to compliment people. on
Exactly.
something. Yeah.
Exactly. And so it's I'm a guy. I like really nice watches. So if a guy comes in and he's got on a nice watch, I want to compliment that. I find just little things that necessarily don't even have anything to do with real estate
For sure.
that I can connect with them on and find ways to make them feel comfortable with me, And so if a husband and wife, young couple comes in and, they're saying something about, oh, if I hear them over talk about this has got a fenced in backyard for our dog, I'm like, oh my gosh, I have a dog too. What kind of dog do you have?
Yeah.
And then I pull out pictures of Stella. Then it's just finding
funny.
ways to connect that have nothing to even do with real estate
Yeah.
is really important. And so you're gonna have people that don't want to talk to you, and that's fine. You don't want to work with them.
For
I
sure.
wouldn't want to,
Yeah.
because they're probably gonna be a pain to
Mhm.
work with at the end of the day. But if you just find a subtle, simple way, and I think this is way easier for girls than it is guys.
Yeah.
Because like, if a female walks into my open house, I can't be like, you just look so pretty today. Like, I can't comfortably say that to where she's going to feel comfortable.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't line up.
For sure.
Whereas with like a girl, you can compliment those types of things.
Yeah.
I cannot. So there's definitely a lot of opportunity for you there, for sure. And I can't be like, oh my God, your earrings. Like,
Yeah.
it doesn't work that way.
Hilarious.
All right, any other questions before we move on?
Being in customer service, I served for several years throughout school. And I just realized that the second I would compliment someone if they're in a bad mood, that's usually the first thing I would do. If they were very short with me, all of a sudden they loved me and then I got a good tip, is exactly how it worked.
Exactly.
I didn't really think about applying that to real estate though, so that's good.
Exactly. No, truthfully, there are a lot of things that can be related from like serving in a restaurant
Yeah.
or customer service that can be related to real estate.
For sure.
We are in the same line of business.
Mhm.
The paychecks are just higher.
Which is nice.
All right, I talked to you guys about how I capture the leads, so we dug into that a little bit ago. Any questions on how I do that? All right, so this is something that we can do in Command, creating the neighborhood landing page. This is personally something that I have never done, but it is an option that we have in Command that we can utilize that can create information about the neighborhood. It allows people to put information in. They can go in and like look at neighborhood data. That's the power of Command that and Kelly, like the real estate app that we've got, that we can plug people into and they can look at all of that data. And so that is something that if you want to take it a level further, you absolutely can. Okay, so I'm going to dig into this really quick because this is important. I have had a couple of situations at open houses where I have felt unsafe.
Can you explain those?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank goodness Kim Mooneyham and I were at the same house one time. I had gotten a text message from a number I did not recognize that said, I know you're at an open house. And I showed it to Kim and I'm like, Kim, like, what do I do? And she's like, just stay calm, like we're good. Well, then I get a text message. Now keep in mind, we have like 5 or 6 families in the house at this time. I get a text message saying, I'm at your open house. So I'm really nervous. I do not know who it is. I'm trying to find the number on Google. I fast people search the number. There's no data. I mean, and that's the thing, like you can download text messaging apps and those numbers are not registered to anything. I mean, it's just a generated number that is you're able to text from.
Was it a local number?
No, not a local number, not a local number. And so I didn't know how to respond. And thank goodness Kim was there with me. As soon as we were done, we left. We did not know who it was. We were unsure of what the situation was. But it did make me feel unsafe, and I'm glad that, thankfully there were multiple families at the property at that time, because I don't know what I would have done had somebody approached me. Now keep in mind, like, I'm not a very built muscly guy. So it's like, what am I gonna be able to do? Like, I can't defend myself, you know, as some can. There was another time I did an open house and a gentleman came in drunk. I mean, completely, just had drank a lot and I could totally smell it. And I felt very uncomfortable. And I made sure I was in a position where I could get out of the house quickly if needed. But it was very, very weird. Just came in completely drunk, stumbling around, would be very like close in my personal space. And finally, I sent a text message to somebody saying, hey, call me and tell me, you know, that you're on your way to the house or something like that. And they called me and I said, hey, you know, hey, I've got to go. I'm sorry, somebody else is on their way. He stayed for about 5 more minutes and then left. And so there are some weird situations. So park on the street, never park in a place where you can get cornered in and that you can't get out. Meeting the neighbors is crucial. I mean, that's why I door knock a lot too, just so I can get out there and meet the neighbors. They know who I am. I know who they are. I always try to be in a position to where I can see what the prospects or the people that are coming in are doing. It is hard sometimes, and sometimes I think we forget to do this because people will come in, we get busy, we start talking to people. We never know somebody's true intentions, guys. So it is important that we watch what people are doing, especially if we're in a owner-occupied home. It is my job to make sure that stuff is not stolen. It's my job to make sure stuff is not damaged. So I do try really, really hard if I'm in a home where I know that the sellers have items or things like that, that I watch and make sure that nothing is being stolen or anything is being damaged. I always know my quickest way out of the house too. I always want to know, like, if something is to happen or if something is to go down, I need to know how I can get out of here as quickly as I can. There are people who target realtors, guys. I mean, a few years back, I mean, it's been a while, but a lady got murdered in Arkansas, you know, because of somebody.
Way to freak her out. She's only done two open houses. She's like, yeah,
Never do
never do
that. I did too. I would say I'm never doing it again.
But we do have to, you know, and I don't say it to scare you. I do say it to be genuine though, because we do have to be aware. Like, it's never happened here. And people are weird though, guys. I mean, we do have to take care of ourselves. I mean, we really do. There are some strange people. Share your location with somebody at all times. Paulina and I have each other's locations shared back and forth. We know where each other's at all times because we typically work by ourselves. If she's out showing property to somebody that she doesn't know, or I'm out showing property to somebody that I don't know, I will tell her. That way, if she can't get a hold of me, she knows to look for my location. Just the other day, I went on a listing appointment and I texted her and was like, hey, I've not met this person. I don't know them. I need you to just make for sure that if, you know, I'm good. You know, I'll let you know when I get done, but you never know somebody's true intention. So it's always nice to let somebody know where you are and charge your cell phone. Guys, I'm really bad about this. I'm on red all the time. So keep your phones charged.
Have you ever heard of Forewarn? Forewarn.
No, I have not.
Forewarn, but it's an app. I have it from my previous brokerage, but you can literally do a background check on anybody and find out like where they live, if they have a record, and even like traffic tickets are on there, and find their phone number based by like name. I think you can search by number and then you can search by name, but it's
Interesting.
really nice. I think it's like $400 for a year, which is obviously worth it to me just because,
Yeah.
I mean, like men get in situations too, but I feel like females are usually the ones that are
Typically, yes.
higher targeted. Not saying that men aren't, but it's a really good app. I mean, it's stopped a few people that I know, a few realtors, just from meeting somebody because they had a very poor record of like assault and stuff like that.
Yeah,
So
very good. I agree with
that's
that.
something to look into.
Yeah, I know, 400 a year.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I only got it for 80 just because of the brokerage I was at and it was like through some other program. But I think if you just do that, then it's like 400.
That's not bad.
Yeah, not at all.
Do you ever like counsel like the homeowner to be like, hey, put those Louis Vuitton bags away? Cause I walked into an open house the other day and there's 2 huge Louis Vuitton bags in the closet. And I'm like, what?
Yep.
Springfield like leads nonviolent crime. Like, what are you?
Yep. So
I went to a showing with like a whole line of bags at the top. I was just like, this is
It's-
nuts.
I had a house in Millwood,
Yeah.
beautiful home, and she loved her Louis Vuitton, like absolutely loved it. We did an open house there, and I had told them prior to put up any valuables, like hide everything. They went to Florida a couple days before and forgot to put up all of the bags. So I went through, and anything of value, I always hide. I always try to hide.
Tell them before you do that.
Yeah, I called them and was like, hey, look, I know you guys went on vacation. You probably just forgot. I'm putting all of your bags under your bed. I just want you to know, I'll put them back when the open house is done. But for the 2 hours that I'm here on Saturday and Sunday, the bags are gonna be under the bed. They had a couple of Rolexes. She had some Chanel bags out, and I put everything.
That's trusting to forget about those.
Well, but I mean, think about yourself, like your home is your safe place.
Yeah.
You wouldn't think to put those things away normally.
Yeah.
And so they just got in the car and went down to Florida, you know, for the week, and she just forgot to do it. And it happens. Thankfully, I had a really good relationship with them, and they knew, like, okay, I took care of their dog one time when they went on vacation. So like, well, they've become really good friends of mine now. But I do always coach people to put up anything of value, because you never know who could come through the house. You just never know. I also, if there's like, and I know this sounds crazy to some, but I always put up any knife sets as well. Not that anybody would ever attempt anything, but if it's out of sight, it's out of mind. And so I typically try to hide things like that too.
I've seen some of those open houses where people line the roads. That would definitely be a good time.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. All right. So we should all know kind of this here. Our job is to connect, cultivate, set the appointment, make them an active client, get them under contract, and close the deal. Yes.
Sorry, this is one more question on
Go
the
for
last thing. Maybe a stupid question, but are we responsible if things get stolen? Like, are we responsible for that? Because I kind of like, I feel responsible whenever I'm the one in the house. So, but like, what if you don't notice anything that had gone missing? What if someone was in a bedroom when you weren't, went through a drawer, found something?
Right.
And they don't realize a month later and they're like, hey, did somebody take this?
I don't think the liability necessarily falls onto us.
Yeah.
I would feel responsible as
For sure.
well. To be honest with you, I've never had anything stolen or heard
Yeah.
of anybody having anything stolen. So I do not know what the procedure for that
Mhm.
would be after the fact.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like I asked Mark Saturday or Sunday when he came through my open house, because like I was 10 minutes late getting started because I got there and I'm like, oh shit, there's snow everywhere.
Yep.
And had to go find a push broom to, and so I asked him, hey, who's responsible if somebody falls? That's the homeowner. But when I think like stolen things, isn't that why we get an EIN? Like on our LLC, we get an EIN. That way, if somebody wants to sue us for something like that, it goes to the company,
Not
not
everybody
to us.
operates under an LLC
Sure.
either, is the thing. I mean, not everybody is operating under an LLC. That's a good question. That's definitely something that I'm going to look into, because truthfully, I do not know what the procedure is if something is, and that's me being transparent. I do not know what we do if something is stolen. You know, obviously, if it's not an open house, we've got the super boxes and we can track who's been in and out and we can narrow it down at that time. But if it's just an open house and something is taken, I don't know what we do at that point. I don't think technically we could be sued over it, because it would be I mean, they would have to steal something of significant value for it to be, you know, able to affect your business in a major way. I mean, they would have to steal a very, you know, like a $40,000-$50,000 watch or something for it to be
Okay.
substantial enough for them to come
I don't
after.
think there's any legality. I think you'd literally have to have something in the open house that says you were taking possession and responsibility of the house. And that doesn't happen unless, you know, the homeowner asks for something weird, but you're going to feel personal responsibility of it.
Exactly. Like I said, I don't think there's anything that comes back on us. I really don't.
I like the best practice though, of just telling the homeowner, guys,
Yeah.
there's gonna be a bunch of people in the house. I may not be able to visually watch everyone that's in here.
Exactly.
Please take everything of value and take it outside of the home. Because even your case of putting under the bed, I mean, someone still could have
Exactly.
looked under the bed to see what was under there and stolen something.
Exactly. And that's very true. And that's exactly what I tell people, just take it and get it out. You know, in that case, I wish they would have, because I mean, I'm hiding $60,000 worth of bags under a bed. Like, that's not something you do every day. Like, and I wish you would have taken them out of the home, because if somebody were to have taken that's substantial, you know, and that's not something that people can just replace.
Right.
You know, I mean, they might be able to, but I can't replace that.
Well, and also that puts you in a precarious situation, because that homeowner, even after having that conversation that you're gonna hide them, they could say, one of them was gone,
Yep.
and I feel like Austin's the one that took it because he saw them and he quote hid
Exactly.
them. So it's like, that's a bad situation all the way around.
I take pictures. So if anytime like somebody leaves something of value, I will take a picture and show them in a picture where I put it. And then I'll take a picture when I put it back, just to cover myself.
But then what if it disappeared after you took the photo when
Exactly.
you put it back? It's just like,
Exactly.
there's no good scenario there.
guarantee to it. But
I have a question, and it just kind of came to my mind. This was not so I had a buddy in Highland that was selling his house, and his wife was kind of a security nut.
Mhm.
And I think that they had motion and voice activated cameras in every room.
Mhm.
And they ended up knowing what the most that the person was going to offer. Like literally they walked around the house talking about what they think it's worth, what they would offer. And I didn't know, there's got to be some legality that a real estate agent could use that. But if a homeowner had that in place, or could you as a real estate agent do that? And has that happened?
To my knowledge, it is illegal to record or video people in a home without their acknowledgement that it is happening. Now, can a homeowner have a Ring doorbell on their front door and cameras in the house that record conversation? Yeah, but for an agent to set up information, I don't, you know, or security, I don't think we can do that without making people aware that active recording is taking place.
Sure. So you sell your cameras to the homeowner for the weekend for $1?
That's rent them out to them.
Yeah.
All right. So we kind of went over some of the best practices already. You know, there's a few different ways that we can stand out. Hosting a speaker, that's something that, you know, we talked about earlier, like having title company or lender there. Offering gifts to people. We have to be careful because we cannot incentivize people to come to our open house. We can offer snacks and things like that, but we cannot offer gifts of value or things that would incentivize people to hire us as an agent.
Is that Missouri rule?
I believe that is a Missouri rule because other states, like when we did gold, James, the coach, was talking about how they can do like giveaways. There are ways around it in Missouri.
Just not
But
promoting it.
what was that?
Just not promoting it. Like you can do that, but you can't like promote that, right?
I don't know how that's properly done, because
Okay.
like, I'm pretty sure they just changed how we're supposed to and not supposed to do this. Because I know that we are not allowed to like post something and say, oh, we're offering this promotion, you've got to give us your contact information. I think what the loophole is though, is we can tell people to call us, but we cannot incentivize people to give us their information in order to receive something. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I need to double check on that, but I know that like Dean Holt's team did something, and the way that they were able to get around it was by having people call in instead of, hey, we want to take your information and then reach out. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
There may be some value limitation. I think there's like, even for like closing days, like it's maybe like you can spend like $100 or something like that. I can't remember what I came across recently, but a maximum value might be in play also.
And that may be true too, because I know there is a bunch of Missouri legalities that were kind of surrounding this, and we talked about them quite a bit in bold, where there are certain things we can do and there's certain things we can't do. Getting the house in the best showing shape is important, guys. Making sure the house is set up, and ready to go is really important. And then go live with it. Okay, we've kind of dug into this too. We've talked about welcoming visitors at the door, get the house in showing shape. Think safety. Do not leave the valuables exposed. Don't leave messy meals or snacks. There's been times I've had to go into open houses, guys, and hide dishes in the dishwasher because people have left sink full of dishes. And do not make assumptions about, people. Like I said, you can look at what they wear, but don't judge them based on. All right. Bring disinfectant wipes sometimes, or hand sanitizer. You just never know, who you're going to come in contact with. So always make sure you can keep yourself kind of sanitized. Bring toilet paper, especially to new construction homes. If you've got a kid that comes through that needs to use the bathroom and you've got a really good connection with mom and dad, have toilet paper there. Worst case scenario, have it for yourself if it's necessary.
If your client doesn't want people to use their restroom.
Then it's posted.
Okay.
Then it's posted.
I will say too, make sure the water works.
Yep. Make sure that the water is on.
I've had that happen. They started using the bathroom and I went, oh, boy.
Make sure.
The water was not on.
Make sure it's on.
Yeah.
Bring paper towels.
You'll remember that.
Always have pins. Bring air freshener too. Guys, I've walked into some open houses sometimes and they do not smell the best sometimes. Bring some air freshener. Just always, this is stuff to keep in the trunk of your car. I've got a trash bag that has, disinfectant wipes in it now, toilet paper, paper towels. I've got a couple pins that are in there. I've got
Face masks and hand sanitizer
We've
now.
got those if people necessarily, if they want those. Always have extra business cards. Bring up phone charger. I always try to bring my phone charger anymore now, because especially if I'm back to back on a Sunday morning where I've been showing property and my phone is at 20%, I just get to the open house. I need to be able to stay in contact with people. So bring a phone charger. Measuring tape is another thing that, like, as an agent, we should always have that in our car. We should always have a measuring tape in there so we can measure things for people. Trash bags. I keep like 4 or 5 extra trash bags in my car just in case, if I go to an open house. Sometimes they're on new constructions. If they haven't finalized the cleanup, I can just pop a few things into the trash bag real quick, leave it there, but it's out of the way. It's not gonna be completely clean, but at least I've got the trash out of the way. And then tissues, hand sanitizer, tissues, face masks, all that stuff, pretty standard. All right, let's dig into the follow-up for open houses. So I know I kind of touched on this a little bit, but guys, when we get that data from people on Sunday or Saturday, we should be shooting them a text message the same day. The same day that we get that contact information, we should be sending them a text message saying, hey, this is awesome from the open house. I just wanted to say thank you guys so much for coming through the open house. I hope I was able to answer any questions that you guys have. If there's anything that you need, please feel free to reach out. This is my cell phone and you can contact me at any time.
I'll give a tip there.
Yeah.
I've got an iPhone and I created a new contact for myself that has my name. It has that I'm a realtor. It has my phone number, my email address, even has my photograph in there. And you can tell when someone has an iPhone when I start texting them.
Yep.
And I will text them a message, but I'll send them my contact in hopes that they save it. And then even if they forget what my name is, I mean, if they search realtor, I have something I'm willing to help you with your real estate needs or something like that in the comments. So even if they search the word real estate in their phone contacts, then it would find me.
Absolutely. I started to save so I created like a digital business card which it sounds like kind of the same thing, just a different way of doing it, that has all my, business card has all your information. And I text that too. That way they can remember my face, because it is important to get your face out there as much as you can. It really is. Just create that business card or whatever, the contact that you did. And I think that's great because then it's like you can just pop that over. You don't have to type in all your information every time. I send the same text template. And then if I send that message to them on Saturday or Sunday, on Monday, I send another text or phone call, depending on what my relationship with them is like. And then after we follow up with them from getting that contact, start identifying more of what their needs are, then dig into their motivation, and then start to set them up on a search or find out what their address is and offer to give them a free value on their home. There's a lot of things that we can do to create contact points with people so that we can kind of cultivate and begin to deepen and strengthen that relationship with them. All righty. Oops, there we go. Okay. So any ahas today that people want to go over?
I love your idea of circle prospecting the neighborhood, and thanks for sharing the tool that you use to do that. Is something certainly worth checking into.
Absolutely. Like I said, circle prospecting, it is a great way to make connections with people. Not only for open houses, but the thing is, what people tend to forget is you can circle prospect for listings. You can circle prospect for when you put a home under contract. You can circle prospect for open houses. There are so many ways that you can utilize circle prospecting to grow your business. Even if you don't sell the house, if you're not the listing agent, but you bring the buyer to it, you can still circle prospect around that house. Hey, just want to let you know, I put this house under contract. We were able to beat out all these other offers. I knew there were 4 other offers on the house. We were the highest offer. We went pending at X number. I just wanted to kind of give you an update on what the market's doing, what's going on in your neighborhood. So it's not just for open houses. You can circle prospect for everything. New listings, when your listings close, buyers under contract. There's a lot of opportunities for circle prospecting. right, any final questions before we wrap up?
Oh, I was just gonna say, I liked the ideas of doing a Saturday, Sunday open house. I think you're right. I think getting face to face with somebody twice in a weekend is totally, I mean, the percentage of that going up to becoming a client would be very large, I'd imagine.
It goes way up, way up. So just as an example, I have been doing the same ones for a while now. And I do them every Saturday, every Sunday. And one of the neighbors has come through every weekend with different friends or different family. And he has sent me 2 referrals already. And so that's just from me being there and talking and getting to know them. The more you're in front of people, the higher chances they're going to convert. Even if they don't convert into a client, they can still send you business. All righty, any other ahas or questions? Good deal. I hope this was able to provide you guys some value. And if you guys ever want to reach out to me, please feel free to get a hold of me. My phone number is 417-293-9678. And you can find me on Facebook too. Feel free to shoot me a friend request on there, shoot me a message, and pop up by our office sometimes. Paulina and I have an office upstairs. And as long as there's not a note on the door saying do not disturb, come on in. We'll be happy to talk to you. All righty. Thank you guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Austin.
You're welcome.
You care to repeat your phone number again?
417-293-9678.
Thank you, Austin.